Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. We have, as always, a lot to get into. We're going to be looking at the cryptocurrency markets, the traditional markets, the week ahead, the macro, which we still assess is going to support the cryptocurrency market. We're going to be talking about the video that we made yesterday and some of the ridiculous comments that we saw, the "I told you so." I'm not quite sure what in specific we were told. You know, the possibilities of lower lows for small speculative altcoins was always on the cards. When we got back into the markets after getting out of them for the majority of 2022, we always said, this is my Patreon video. If anyone wants to join the Patreon, please do check it out. Link in the description. You'll get all my buys where I've bought, totally transparent, which you get 100% of on this channel, which you don't on others, unfortunately. But we'd always said that we assessed that this was a good buying opportunity from an investment point of view back into an asset class and assets that we think are going to do very well over the long term. Okay? We never said that this was 100% going to be the bottom. There's always been the possibility. We didn't foresee the SEC and everything that's taken place. Not an excuse. However, if you look at the other markets that we've predicted, and we're going to talk about that, we've been spot on. Look at Bitcoin and the January call that we made. Yes, you do have certain altcoins that went on and put in a toe below the lows, but now, today, are actually still at where January was, or they were in January. But if you look at the stock market, we've been 100% spot on. If you look at gold, we've been spot on. You know, people are saying, oh, how can we have a bull market under this pretext? Well, Apple went on and put in a new all-time high. Look at these markets, guys. We still assess there's more upside to come across the board. We actually think the S&P could go on and put in a new all-time high. Gold's on the precipice of it, and we think crypto will bask in that sun. It's very interesting that at the moment, crypto has intrinsic issues in the same way that it did with FTX when the stock market was rallying in November. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to be playing a clip from Jay Clayton. We'll be looking at the week ahead. Isn't it interesting that Hong Kong is inviting Coinbase and others to come in and actually work with them and look to facilitate crypto trading within Hong Kong and that jurisdiction? America and the Gensler approach. There's going to be a huge silver lining in all this, by the way, guys, because ultimately I do believe that there's going to be a lot of pushback coming in regards to what Gensler's done. The SEC lawsuit is with XR Ripple, Brad and Chris, has never been more important than it is today. But we'll get into it all, guys. Let's start things off by looking at the markets, taking an objective approach at everything. We've had the emotional day yesterday. I could see the emotions coming out in the comment section. I'm not one of these people that expect people not to be emotional when it comes to investing or trading. I still am. It's how it goes. We just have ways of dealing with it. One way I like to deal with things is through exercise and doing things constructively. But let's take an objective look at the markets, right? So the altcoins were hit very hard yesterday. This is absolutely the fallout of Gensler going out and calling certain cryptos specifically and not others securities in relation to the SEC versus Binance and Coinbase. We then saw Robinhood move to stop facilitating of this under fears of regulatory pressure. There's going to be a number of funds in America. There's going to be a number of other companies that would have also done the same thing. And actually, I reckon that there was a dumping of spot onto the market as a result of all this. It's why we saw certainly those altcoins that were specifically mentioned a couple of times, ADA, Solana, Matic, go down 25% overnight. It's a very low liquid market going from Friday night into Saturday. And that's essentially the story of what's taken place there. Okay, but when we look at Bitcoin looks A-okay, guys, in my opinion. We still assess that the call we made was a good one. For altcoins, okay, it's not the perfect bottom, but we think you're pretty damn close. So the I told you so comments, very rich, coming from people who are still 95% down and didn't take any, didn't avoid the majority of the bear market, but are very quick to judge someone who's been nothing but honest and transparent and said, look, we've taken a position back into the markets. Understanding that we're never going to be able to perfectly time the bond. But anyway, enough about me, guys. Bitcoin looks fine to me. Absolutely fine. There was always, I'm not going to say that we foretold exactly how this has played out, But we always said 30K is going to act as resistance, and 25K neckline retest is a possibility. We still assess there's upside on the table, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, everything that's going on could be, we told you the Chinese farmer and the horse story, the very propellant to give this cryptocurrency market the next leg up, because you are going to get regulatory clarity. We're going to do a full dive on what Jay Clayton said in regards to everything going on right now later, but I'll just play you a clip from it today. Ethereum, still holding its January lows. Matic, not so much. You are marginally down. If we look at something like Cardano, January's here. You're now above it. This was a massive wick. Low liquidity here. Lots of sellers, not enough buyers. That's why the market goes down. And other altcoins have got pretty smashed, but we do assess they'll recover. We still assess that the point of call to buying again will in time be proven to be a good one. We think gold is on the precipice. This is a market we've been spot on about. People say, oh, how is there a bull market? Well, look at this, guys. This was your bear market. The altcoins are still in. They're basically down here. And look at gold. Gold went on and tested new all-time highs. It will take those new all-time highs. JP Morgan came out and said, actually, Bitcoin will appreciate with that. Not taking their word as gospel, but we think so as well. This is the NASDAQ. We told everyone, don't get short here. This is coming. We looked for what was happening and expected the strength in the stock market and analysed that in regards to the crypto space. Done cross-market analysis on Bitcoin against the SPY. This is all stuff we've done previously. All you've done here is come into resistance, come back for a retest of what you could assess as now support, and we'll see what takes over. Similar thing with gold. We think Bitcoin's in a good position, and we think the altcoin market will catch up eventually. And just to have to eat a little bit of red, literally a little bit, in regards to the initial buying point on certain positions is part and parcel of the course. No one's ever going to get things 100% right, guys. If somebody's telling you they are, they're full of shit, right? And you've been completely hoodwinked. All you get on this channel is honest analysis, cross-market analysis from somebody who's been a participant in the market for a long time and has done very, very well off of the back end of it. We could do what other people do and sit and brag about this and that, but we could actually prove it. We could prove about buying things back in the prior bear market that literally 100 plus X'd. We don't do that. We don't choose to do that because it's past tense. We think there's an opportunity at hand, and I'm more interested in sharing that with you than going on and gloating and dancing around in nice cars and stuff like that. So anyway, we still assess that the broader trend is up. We've got the rate hike decision coming on Wednesday. We've got a CPI before that. We've been watching true inflationary stats. We think the CPI for the US is going to come down significantly. And ultimately, even if they hike, it's not the end of the world, but we don't think they're going to hike. Okay? We've looked at the historical context of what happens to the stock market, which we have technical patterns for upside now for under a rate. This is the last time they took rates sideways. People don't believe me. I'll show you. We don't lie. We don't mince our words. We tell you 100% the truth on here, guys, for everything. Yesterday, we made a very humble video coming out and saying, okay, we didn't perfectly call the bottom for altcoins because they've gone on and put in marginally lower lows. And the amount of I told you so's, and it's not hard to say, okay, the market could go down and put in a new low. It's not a hard call. But when you're calling for a crash that quite simply has not occurred to date, look at the stock market, look at the cryptocurrency market as a whole, which is still massively up from January. There's no I told you so there, and very rich again coming from people that are 95% down. But anyway, sideways rates, we think the market's going to do well on the back end of this. Even the trickier one, which of course was the 2000s, stock market still did well from the point where they went sideways. And if you look at sideways, historically, it's done well. We think that's going to come again, ladies and gentlemen. And you're here. You're on the door of it. We think crypto will appreciate from that also. We think gold's going to go on to new all-time highs. We still are very firm on that, and we've been 100% accurate on that. The only thing that we got wrong was marginally lower lows for altcoins. And that, unfortunately, is the way it goes. But we're still long and strong, despite everything. We think there's going to be a lot of silver linings. Very interesting how you had Hong Kong legislators come out and essentially say, look, we want to invite global crypto and Bitcoin exchanges, including Coinbase, to operate in this country. Very opposite to what the SEC is saying. The SEC, I do believe, are going to get big backlash in regards to a lot of the actions that they've taken. We've already seen them get grilled in Congress. What do you think that grilling looks like now? You know? And actually, just like with XRP, a very good friend of ours, Francis Hunt, is calling for upside on XRP. Go and watch his videos. We'll do a video looking at what he said and throwing our 2 cents into it sometime this week. That upside suggests that they're going to win the lawsuit. Okay, what do you think happens in that scenario after all the sell pressure has occurred? And the sellers are now exhausted and you've seen this big dump into the market. What do you think if somebody comes out or Gensler comes out and says, oh, okay, we're not calling the crypto securities, but we're calling the facilitating of certain things securities? You know, there's so many things that can change the tides very quickly that people aren't paying attention to. And it is always darkest before dawn. That isn't technically true. But let's play this clip of Jay Clayton, and then we'll look at the week ahead, rates, etc., etc. I want to talk a little bit. I'm going to do an in-depth video on Janet Yellen now replenishing the reserves, what effects it's going to have on the markets, the bond market. Can the bond market even do it? And are the Fed going to become the buyer of last resort, which is quantitative easing, in my opinion? But let's play this clip of Jay Clayton when he was recently asked about everything going on right now. And then we'll move on to the week ahead.
If you were SEC chair, would you have taken these moves?
Look, it's his leadership now. He's been in this position for over 2 years. Where they've gone with this, you know, I'm not going to be the person who throws bombs or second guesses from the sidelines. I am a supporter of the agency. I'm a supporter of the law the way it is. I think that when I was there, people would say I was a crypto hawk. We effectively shut down the ICO craze, said that most of what I'm seeing is securities activity. But I do think we are having very blunt conversations about something that requires nuance. Crypto is really a technology. The use of blockchain technology in all sorts of aspects of our financial system should be not controversial. If you have an asset, pick a CMBS security, represented in tokenized form,
Right.
there ought to be a way to custody that, transfer it, because it's probably going to be more efficient than what we're doing today. So there is a crypto use case that is clear, uncontroversial. We ought to be thinking about how to do that. I am remarkably impressed by the functionality of true stablecoins, not the algorithmic stablecoin, not the liquidity transformation stablecoin, but a true backed by the same thing that we back bank accounts by. Okay, let's just put it that way, or backed by the same thing that you would back a repo by, something like that. A true stablecoin, a remarkable technology at the retail level to be able to transfer dollars around the world. I mean, we use $100 bills in cash for a lot of things. I say we, not the populace, but people outside the United States. Wouldn't a stablecoin be a better way to do that? Wouldn't it be better for KYC? Wouldn't it be better for AML? I think so. I think we ought to be looking at that technology.
I would say the irony is the only time one of the best stablecoins, USDC, broke the buck is when it was announced they were a customer of Silicon Valley Bank.
We'll leave it there. I don't want to play too much of that. I'm going to do an in-depth guide on that entire interview and Jay Clayton's comments later on today, so stay tuned for that. It's very interesting what he has to say. Nuance is needed. There needs to be almost a how we test 2.0. And I think there's going to be a lot of pushback with this, and actually it could work out as a positive. Remember the tale of the Chinese farmer and the horse. Let's move on to the week ahead, guys, and then we'll wrap things up. I'll leave you to your Sunday dinners. Monday, we've got nothing. Tuesday, we've got US CPI. So they're expecting a fall to 4.7. I'm going to say this now. I think it's going to be lower. Okay? Core CPI, I think, is going to still be sticky. But I think the actual inflationary stats are going to be lower than where the Fed have it in regards to where the expectations are. And I think this is going to increase the probabilities where it's already in the favour of no more hike. Although, like I say, we did have two banks that were supposed to not hike, Bank of Canada and Bank of Australia, that both, I think, did. Which, kind of makes me think a little bit. But and then Wednesday, of course, we've got the big decision, which is the Fed rate decision. Expected to hold. They're going to call it a skip. They're coming up with all these new, words that they haven't historically used, but they sort of bending literature to language to suit whatever agenda they bring in. You've got inflation, PPIs to come in. You've got UK GDP, which is going to be interesting because we'll see. We had the Eurozone and Germany in recession. And then we've got an ECB rate decision. They're expected to rise rates. This is going to be interesting for the dollar cross. We think the dollar cross is going to, the Dixie is going to see some downside. This is ultimately going to support things. You may be getting this double bottom scenario, which we've spoken about from a long time ago as a possibility. It wasn't our base case. We thought this was a very good entry. We still do for many altcoins back in January. However, ultimately, we still assess that there's more upside to come, and that the macro plan that we have in play is very much intact. Then we've got the Bank of Japan rate decision. I don't even know why people watch that. It's just in case there's a shock and they do something. But it's going to be a very interesting week. I'm going to do a full video in regards to the debt that Yellen's about to, the bonds she's about to dump onto the market. Who's going to be the buyer? It's very interesting that we saw a very, very brief uptick in regards to, or very slight, I should say, in regards to the Fed's balance sheet recently. Very interesting that we saw this for the first time in a long time. Well, for the first time really since SVB. Is this a hint at something further to come? You know, we still are bullish on the macro, bullish on the crypto space. Certain altcoins are just lagging behind. They're not quite out of, you can't say they're in a bull market yet or may have started one, is probably the correct way to term it, because they've gone on and put in new lows. Even if it is just by a smidgen and they're basically where they were in January. So that's all I've got for you in this video, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this content. Remember, do not panic. Panicking is going to get you nowhere in this space. And people, one thing that I always see, which fascinates me, is a lack of accountability for your own actions, right? We can all blame somebody for something, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Assess what it is you're trying to do here, okay? Do you really believe in crypto? Have you done your due diligence? Do you assess and agree with what I'm saying? Or do you disagree with it and do things accordingly? All we do on this channel is share our best take on the markets. You know, what we're doing, why we're doing it, everything that's going on. Keep you up to date with the news and so on and so forth. And I know that many of you do appreciate that. Some absolutely lovely comments yesterday. I see you. We do read all the comments and it is greatly appreciated. Enjoy your Sunday dinners, guys, or your Sundays in general. We'll be back on Monday with another daily cryptocurrency market update video. The show must go on. It's always darkest before dawn. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Have a great Sunday, guys. Don't forget to like and comment. See you in the next one.